All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go now. So, hello everybody, Meg Zardex here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting episode for my podcast series. And oh shoot, I don't even know what the heck that opening was. There was a whole the music. I had all my other stuff turned on by accident though. But oh man, it's been some kind of crazy week though. I know I should have been live with this podcast last week, but unfortunately, things pop up. You get tired. I'm always flexible with these podcasts. I try to keep it bi-weekly, but every now and then I happen to miss one or whatnot though. But it's just gonna be me tonight. A lot of stuff has happened within the past few weeks. Maybe it's because a Comicon recently happened within like a week ago or something like that. A lot of great Spider-Man 2 stuff that was kind of revealed there in terms of like consoles, limited editions, and story reveal stuff, or like, the whole story, kind of like a layout of what we can kind of within the next game, stuff like that. Got to talk about some pop culture stuff. Stupid old Twitter, man. I'm tired of Elon Musk. I always feel like I keep coming back to this whole topic every single time, though. Got to talk about that. Got some new announcements and some new games. And yes, I actually managed to go through and play a good chunk of Pikmin 4. If I were to, I've been going through and almost nearly 100% in the whole entire thing. But if I were to say exactly how much of the game I've been doing, I feel like I'm at the 80-ish% mark, or maybe a little higher than that, though. So I got some review impressions to kind of go over and say all of that stuff, though. So quite a bit of stuff to go ahead and talk about and a whole lot more, but we might as well not go ahead and dilly-dally any longer. And let's go ahead and jump up in this, though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that culture segment. All right, so we got to talk about this stupid Twitter whole fiasco thing going down because stupid Elon Musk, man. I don't know how many times have I reported on this within my podcast series, though. But my goodness gracious, man, like this dude over here. So apparently, if you hadn't heard about this, and I don't know how you managed to avoid this though, but yes, Elon Musk had managed to rebrand Twitter and calling it a straight up X. I don't know what's his fascination with the letter X. I mean, X is a cool letter, to start off names or whatnot, though. Don't get me wrong, though. But for him to change the whole logo off of a whim like that, I'm like, what the actual heck? If you even look back at Twitter's history, and look at all the icons and stuff. It's basically always been that blue bird. It might have changed, but the bird has been the same. Or the concept of being the bird. And then lo and behold, he just switches it over to an X. I'm like, huh? And yes, you can technically punch in, onto your web browsers, www.twitter.com, and it still will take you there. However, you can also put x.com and bullshoot on the down low, X.com literally sounds like a Pornhub website. Like I don't get it. Like it just seems odd, super weird. And it's like, how did you go from changing something that's super iconic that everybody and their mama knows, just like how you know about Facebook, how you know about Twitter, and how you knew about Instagram? That was a global brand and something people always easily, recognize and resonated with. And the fact they just changed it on the whim like that, I just don't understand it. I don't know what's up with billionaires and what kind of runs on in their minds or whatnot. So even if I was in this position, I knew not to mess around with that. You can tweak the actual bird itself. I would have never flipped it like that. I just it just disgusts me, man. And yes, I do have all my backup accounts and all of that stuff kind of set up. So that way I should be all good to go in terms of my I should be all good to go in terms of, if Twitter happens to burn down one day. Cause I feel like at the rate we're going, something's gonna happen. I mean, you had all of this stuff that popped up between what's that new one that just recently came out? I have to look over here on my phone. Oh yeah. We literally had Threads that just recently came out, and then obviously you have Blue Sky. I'm on both of those two accounts. You can check the description box down below to follow me on those two accounts if you happen to have them. But I don't know. At the rate we're going, I really like Twitter, and the fact that this man himself is flipping and turning so many people off. Oh shoot! I don't know. That's all I got to say about it now. I'm pretty sure the next episode there'll be something else that this man will do, and I have to kind of report on it again, though. But I don't know. This whole fiasco is just really dumb. But man, let me get off of this topic. All right, now on a more serious note, though, apparently Beyond the Spider Verse has been delayed indefinitely. This is basically the part two um the previous movie, like Across the Spider Verse or whatnot. Like, no, shoot, there's always so many different titles for all of these Spider-Man ones. I think I don't know why I almost want to mix it up with the multiverse thing that we had within our typical MCU one. But this is the Miles Morales storyline right here, though. But the fact that the part two of this movie has unfortunately been delayed is a little bit unfortunate. I think it's more so, and it's even just this one movie. I think a lot of different movies that Sony has had in the pipelines themselves have internally been delayed or been a little bit postponed. It's like kind of the management side of things. It's a little odd or whatnot though, but at least with this movie in particular, I could see it in terms of the animators and stuff. I don't want these animators and the workers that make these movies to be underneath any kind of crunch or whatnot though. Because at least the animation and stuff from what I saw in that movie, it was great. It's one of those movies I don't normally go out there and buy physical, except for like a few of them. Like I bought the Mario movie and I bought like the first two Sonic movies. I don't really buy a lot of movies physical because I'm more likely to just have them off of a streaming service or digital or some other way or means or whatnot though. But this is one movie when it does come out, I am gonna get it because it just hit me that hard. So yeah, the fact that it is unfortunately delayed is a little bit, upsetting. Ideally, it was supposed to come out next year, and I was really looking forward to it to be honest though. But it is what it is. It is a little bit unfortunate though, but we'll just have to take it as we see it though. So if it was delayed out of 2024, I'm thinking at the earliest, it might not be until like 2026 that we might be able to actually get this movie though. So a bit unfortunate though, but hey, if this results in getting an even better part two, because that part one, dang, I hate that cliffhanger so much, man. But shoot, but it did leave a really great lasting impression. So, I'm willing to chill. There's a lot of other good movies coming out, even movies that I hadn't even caught up or watched. Like, I know there's the Mission Impossible movie that recently came out and it's still in theaters. I know there was like the Indiana Jones. I hadn't even seen that. I recently actually saw Transformers. That was actually pretty good though. But yeah, so I'm just gonna chill, bide my time, and when the movie comes out, I know it's gonna be great because this character has been handled very well. So that's all I gotta say on that one right there though. But this next topic right here was really interesting. I had to take a double take on this one, but apparently there was a girl that actually went missing. And you know what happens when people go missing and stuff like that? They do like them Amber Alert things and whatnot. Though, oh shoot! If you ever heard of that, them buzzes off of your phone, like oh my gosh! But apparently there was this girl that went missing, and they actually used a Nintendo Switch to be able to actually find this girl. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I guess the FBI got in contact with Nintendo themselves and were able to get in contact with them, had them bounce the IP address from where she recently logged in off of her Nintendo Switch, gave that to the officers, and they were actually able to find it though. So I was like, oh my gosh. So it's little stories like this that kind of make you feel a little humble, like, oh, okay, you know what? That's actually really nice. The fact that, something we all appreciate from just a gaming device, something that kind of help, burn some time, relieve some stress and whatnot, though. Um, be able to actually go through all of that and actually be able to be used for a good service and actually help save someone who actually got kidnapped, though. Quite an amazing story right there. And also, I saw over here in the chat from Apollo, he said, Mission Impossible was great. Action scenes were great. I just saw it yesterday. Man, yeah, I definitely want to see that movie. I might wait until it actually comes out on digital or whatnot, though, and then I'll probably watch it with my family or something like that, though. Save a little bit of money here and there, though. But yeah, so honestly, really good stuff with this story right here. Glad to hear that she was okay though, but it's always nice to actually hear a little bit of good news instead of controversy or a little bit of bad news here and there though. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I had in terms of the topics, in terms of the pop culture news right there. So we'll go ahead and jump over into the gaming side of things. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. All right, so apparently this right here is actually I never thought I'd actually kind of see the day that this will actually happen, given the fact that Xbox history. Yes, I'm talking about apparently with Final Fantasy 14 is actually coming to Xbox. So I know Final Fantasy 14 usually has like this almost yearly event or whatnot though, where they're kind of they're meeting in one area and they typically like to go through and announce the next expansion pack for whatever's coming next for this massive MMO RPG. This game made like millions, if not billions of dollars or whatnot though. And usually you would think and associate Final Fantasy with Sony first, maybe Nintendo second, lastly Xbox, because Xbox is more like a Western kind of thing versus a an Eastern thing like in Japan, which the sales always kind of show for it. That's why we hadn't really gotten a lot of JRPGs or nothing like that on the Xbox side of things though. But it seems like Slick Philly Spencer is wedging his way up in there, and they're actually making these kind of deals where in this picture you're seeing, at least here if you're watching this on YouTube, where he actually met with Yoshi P, and they're actually having stronger ties with the Final Fantasy series moving this point forward though. So it's not just for 14 in general, but it's for any other future Final Fantasy games. So right off the top of my head, who knows if they'll do anything with Final Fantasy 16 because that's still exclusive on the PS5 right now. That's a game I still want to technically play, but I probably won't play until like probably around Black Friday or something like that. But at least in terms of Final Fantasy series moving forward, anything brand new, more than likely than not, they're going to probably try to associate it with Xbox as well as Sony. Sony can't just give them like a fat check or whatnot, though, and just try to have that exclusive or whatnot, though, outside of already agreed upon agreements like Final Fantasy VII series or whatnot, though. So that is interesting. And you know what? I'm kind of relieved by this news just a little bit because if for some reason if Sony were to try to go through and start, playing the same game with Xbox, trying to acquire different studios like Xbox, we already know them acquiring Bethesda, and they're basically on the doorstep now with acquiring Activision Blizzard. The fact that Xbox kind of sealed this deal with them makes me think, hey, what Square Enix is going to be safe in the middle. It's not going to necessarily be owned by anybody. So thank goodness for that because honestly, I don't want to see them bought by anybody. I like them to have their own free creative freedom, at least within all of this stuff. So honestly, really good news right there. So it's interesting, at least if you're a Final Fantasy person, you're going to be able to actually have a little bit more options. Now you'll be able to play 14 via PC, PS5, or PS4, as well as I was about to say Nintendo Switch. No, not on the Switch, but on the Xbox Series system. No, so really nice stuff to see right there. Now, flipping for the Xbox side, let's go ahead and jump over here to the PlayStation side of things because apparently the Project Q leaked. Yes, the Project Q, that's Sony's alternative for a handheld gaming device where they're actually able to use this system. If you had a PS5, you can be able to connect this little system over the Wi-Fi itself to be able to stream games directly from your console straight to your device. So if you were to have your PS5 up in your gaming room or whatever, though, you can actually play the Project Q in your bed or whatnot, though. So yeah, we know that that's supposed to be coming out here fairly soon, probably holiday time by the latest. However, the leak, this system actually leaked. Like there was a video of this dude actually having one. It was weird. Like I don't know why he had the system, but he didn't even rip off like the screensaver protector, whatever thing. Like you can tell that that thing was bubbly. I wish he would have took that sucker off though. I still can't get behind the concept of this design. Like, what on earth were they thinking? Like splitting that, PS5 controller in half and literally sticking a tablet in the middle of in the center between those two things. And then we were even seeing as he was kind of swiping through the device, it's actually running off of Android. So it's like they took like like an Android tablet and put these two handles up on it. It's not even like a UI interface that's kind of like unique like the actual PS5 itself. I don't know. I just feel like this was like a quick hack job or whatnot, though. Like it doesn't seem like a lot of care or love actually kind of went up into this system. So I was like, what the actual? I don't know what they're actually on with this system, though. But I don't know. I really honestly don't like the way how this system is actually looking at the moment, though. Yes, I know there's gonna be people that them Sony ponies out there, them diehards that are probably gonna jump out there and get this thing on day one. but I feel like this is still gonna only speak to like a niche audience. At least with me personally, I don't have to worry about this. I do have an Asus ROG Ally that I can pop out, and I have it set up to basically act the same thing as this Project Q, and I can use that system for a whole lot of other things and a whole lot of other games as well, though. So I'm like, oh shoot! But just looking at this, I don't know what they're thinking about with this thing. I don't think it's gonna blow the world by fire or anything like that. But it's interesting to kind of see their approach on this. I don't know. All right, so that's all I got to say about Project Q. But let's talk about some more interesting topics with PlayStation. Something that's actually good. Yes, I'm talking about Capcom. Or not? Why did I say Capcom? Hmm, the Comicon event. We even know Comic-Con to be able to it's a bit where they kind of promote anything that's like superhero wise, anything gaming wise, some things anime. You get a mixture of all that different pop culture, gaming goodness, and whatnot, though. But with it having a huge Marvel focus, yes, Sony was going to come out here swinging at this event. And yes, they actually showcased off quite a bit of stuff for Spider-Man 2 that kind of got me really hyped. Let's take it one step at a time. So first thing they showed us was the story. A new story element, which we got to see more looks of Peter and Miles, and then we got to see MJ and stuff like that. And got to see their new models and stuff, which is kind of weird because a lot of people kind of had like they were coming up on the internet. And I seen some things on Twitter where people were like, I can't get behind the design of Peter or the way how MJ now looks or whatnot, though. Even talking about Miles's new hairdo and stuff like that his hairdo I can kind of agree upon. I kind of like the way how his hairdo looked in the original Spider-Man as Miles Morales, but it's not bad. It's still doable. But at least with the Peter and MJ stuff, people are so used to the way how Spider-Man was in PS4 because not as many people probably played the PS5 remaster edition. But me playing remaster edition, it wasn't as drastic of a change. It's kind of like more in the avenue of them changing because it storyline apparently from what they said it's going to be about 10 10 months ish, basically almost a year after the events of like Miles Morales. So it was interesting kind of seeing those designs in terms of the actual story stuff. Gosh, those trailers look absolutely sick. Venom looks terrifyingly good. Like there was like some artwork that was actually showcased off for Venom, and people were like, "Wait, is that actual art, or is that him in the actual game?" But by the time you see that trailer, no, that's a shot from the actual game itself. Like that just shows how much level and detail and stuff that Insomniac Games has for for their craft or whatever games they're making right now. Because Venom looks absolutely great. And I know some people were kind of talking about, Venom and his story within like Spider-Man 3, that old movie. And he was okay in that. Obviously, we had two other Venom movies, or technically a third Venom movie along the way. And, those kind of adaptations they were okay, but not like super great. But I can just tell with the way how Insomniac treated, Miles Morales as well as the original Spider-Man I know they're gonna do Venom justice. Venom is like literally one of my favorite antagonists within like the Spider-Man universe. So I am genuinely really looking forward to this though. And I can just tell like Peter's gonna have some really tough conflict when he has that symbiote actually attached to him. So yeah, so honestly, some really great stuff from the story trailers. If you hadn't already seen the story trailers, make sure to go ahead and check that out as well though. But that wasn't all the information they actually revealed in this little showcase right here. Because yes, they managed to announce that there is going to be a limited edition controller as well as a limited edition system. Just the system itself, but you're actually able to get the faceplates separately. So yes, you got faceplates separate, the controller separate, and then you have the all-in-one bundle that's literally MSRP $600 that has the faceplates already attached to the system along with the PS5 controller. So you have all of that stuff mixed in that one console. So basically, three different packages for this limited edition stuff. They announced it there at the showcase thing, and they said, all right, roughly in about a week's time, we're gonna go ahead and drop the pre-orders for it though. And yes, that was technically last Friday, so literally a couple of days ago. And I was like, all right, and they were gonna drop in what was it, 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is like 9, 8, 7, 6 a.m. Pacific. which is kind of early for the people that live over there off of the West Coast, though. But with that being 9 o'clock my time, I was okay. I was at work, and I was like, all right, I had a phone in one hand, doing my other tasks in the other, though. I managed to log in 5 minutes or 5 or 6 minutes before the pre-order should have gone up on the PlayStation Direct. And luckily, technically, a little before this, they said that these orders weren't going to be exclusive to the PlayStation Direct. That was just one way of getting them, and then they had all these other retailers that were also going to get them as well, though. So me internally thinking, I already had a PS5, so it didn't make sense for me to get the bundle. So I'm going into it getting the controller, and I'm also trying to get the faceplates. That's all I was shooting for. That's all I needed. So I got in there 5 to 6 minutes early. And lo and behold, I was able to jump in the line with the query like within the span of a minute. So I was like, okay, I'm doing pretty good. Got up in there, got the controller, managed to find that, managed to get the faceplates. I go to checkout, faceplate is already sold out. And this was before it was, the 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was like, what the heck? I was like, you know what? Forget it. Both these hot items. Let me go ahead and buy the controller separately. Then I'll try to figure out what's going on with the plates. Because technically I got in line before the actual time. So I got the controller. That was easy. I was in and I was out. Bada bing, bada boom. Then I try to go back up in there and wait in the line about another 5 minutes or so. And then by the time I get back in, which it was way faster than trying to get the collector's edition of this game, the plates were already sold out. I was like, what the heck? If you wanted the digital plates, it was still up. But for the physical versions of the PS5, the one with the disc reader and all of that, it was sold out. I was like, how on earth we just opened up this dang line? And then I went over there. I was like, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and check out these other places that might have them. Because Wario 64, good person to follow if you're trying to get limited edition stuff. He started throwing up all these links: Walmart, Target, GameStop, Best Buy, I think, was one of the last ones. And then, like, later in the day, Amazon and whatnot, though. But he was rapid firing, putting these things in. I went into Walmart's thing. Then it said it sold out. I literally went into Target, went to almost check out, and then it sold out in front of me for those plates. And then I went to Best Buy, and it already said coming soon. And I was like, what? I was like, what the heck is going on? Stuff was selling out like literally like if I was in the store and I put my hands on the actual system or whatever I'm trying to get the device and it just poof, it was like that one Spiderman thing where he's like, oh, I mean, like, gosh, dang. I was literally living that meme right now. And I'm like, oh, dude. I was going through it and trying to, for a solid 30, 40 minutes, almost an hour. And I was like, bruh, I just couldn't. I just couldn't with this thing. Lo and behold, it basically sold out. It was technically could go back and get the controller easy, or slash I could actually buy the bundle that had the whole entire PS5 with the plates and the controller and whatnot. Though I could still technically buy that with no hassle. And I'm like, everybody and their mama wants the plates because they already own the console. And I think from the recent update that we got with the PS5, apparently they sold about 40 million, consoles right now. So not necessarily everybody's probably getting, those plates, not the whole 40 million people. But let's say if a little less than 50% of people that wanted to get it. That's like 20 million people trying to jump on this mess, but not necessarily within like my United States region or whatnot though. So I don't know. It was rough. It was rough. So unfortunately, I only got the controller. Now, I'm still gonna shoot to get them plates, but I'm not gonna buy them from no stupid scalpers or anything like that. So I think the tactic for me is gonna be because this the controller and plates they technically release in the console. They release September 1st, so technically a month and so before the actual game comes out. Target is really good about sending a little bit of extra stock to stores on release day. So I just got to kind of keep my eye out on my target and see when those notifications go up for any on-hand stock for those retailers. So I'll check it for Target, and Best Buy is also fairly good as well. Sometime between the span of like a little after midnight Central Standard Time, between like 12 and 1, maybe between 1 and 2 in the morning at the latest. Best Buy will usually kind of flip up some stock. So I imagine that's going to sell out real quick. So between Target and Best Buy, I'm going to try between one of those two on release date, though. But outside of that, Insomniac Games already tweeted out themselves that they're not going to probably be any restocks. I think there's going to be some small region restocks with your certain retailers, but that's going to be it. Interestingly enough, Amazon did not put up the pre-orders for the plates themselves. Kind of interesting, though. But that was my whole story in terms of pre-ordering all this stuff. Because the goal for me for this whole game is to basically have every limited edition thing for this thing: the plates, the controller, and the collector's edition. I already got the collector's edition, got the controller. I just need the plates. I just like Spider-Man that much because he's like my second overall favorite superhero. I like Insomniac Games. They're like literally one of my two favorite gaming studios out there. I literally made a video on it between Insomniac Games and Monolith Soft. But yeah, between the combination of all of that stuff, that's the reason why I'm trying to support them that much. And I'm just a personal fan of it because I know I'm gonna like this game. It's gonna be a contender for Game of the Year, but I don't think it's gonna probably beat out Tears of the Kingdom though. But I think it could be a solid rock in second place though. But oh shoot, I think I've been on that topic long enough. But that's my overall experience with Spider-Man 2 in terms of the news update, my own personal experience with getting some of these orders in, and everything else in between, though. But if you happen to have any story about this, or if you managed to actually get those placed, down in the comment section down below, because I'm gonna be a little bit jealous if you got them placed, though. The controller wasn't that hard to get, but oh shoot. All right, so apparently there was also another game that got announced, and no, it is not Smash Brothers Ultimate related thing. No, we're talking about another Smash clone. Now, when some of y'all think Smash clones, maybe you're thinking about Multiverse or something like that. Is that game coming back? No, it's not coming out just yet. But we're talking about apparently Nickelodeon All Star Brawl is coming out with a second game, the new sequel. Like it's interesting because I don't even think this game for the first one has been on the market for even like a barely a couple of years, and they already got a second game coming out. Looks like there's a bit more of a budget. It seems like the graphics got overhauled. Yes, you got brand new characters up in the game. Like I think Vlad, like he's new. I'm pretty sure. And then as well as like they brought in like my boy Jimmy Neutron, like some respectable characters within the Nickelodeon universe in terms of their cartoon characters and whatnot though. So overall, it looks really cool, really interesting. I did manage to dabble with the first game because technically my brother actually owns it, so I managed to play a little bit of that with him. Though, the thing that always threw me off with that game was I typically, and I don't know how many people out there kind of play like their Smash clones like this though. With the jump, I usually like to press up on the stick because I just like to combo that really well with my up specials. But apparently, that's not necessarily a thing within Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. You have to actually press the jump button itself, which I'm like, I don't necessarily like that the best though. So, you know what? If they were to put the actual jump button on the stick, probably more likely to actually stick with it. But apparently, I don't know the way how they're going to handle it though. But it's interesting to see how this game is going to have a sequel. It's doesn't have a day and month or day month year release, but we just know that window frame is supposed to be sometime within 2023. This game is supposed to drop, but pre-orders are already open. I think it's actually selling for about $50 MSRP or something on the lines of that. So honestly, some pretty good solid stuff right there though. But I don't know if I'll get it at launch. I kind of have to see how well this game actually does though. But it's interesting nonetheless that this game managed to already kind of get a quick sequel that fast. All right, now on the Nintendo side of things, bouncing it back over there to them, we did manage to get some new games that managed to come over here to the NSO service. Yes, we're talking about full of, classic Game Boy games. And I'm talking about Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages and Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Two great games within the Game Boy line of things. It was interestingly enough, I remember going through and watching some videos about them, some games that were some videos that were made by Good Vibes Gaming. And personally, I didn't even know this, but originally at the time of their original releases back in the day, this game barely managed to squeak out both in the Japan region, Americas, and I think a little bit with Europe. Like literally like a month or two before the GBA actually launched, though. It was just kind of crazy how this is like one of their last, Game Boy games, that being technically a Game Boy Color game, though. But right, right before the GBA release, though. But it's interesting how they brought these games over. Surprisingly, it's more interesting in the fact that they only brought these two Game Boy games because I think the past couple of drops when they did NSO updates for the basic tier side of things, we didn't just only get Game Boy games, but we got Game Boy games and maybe like a one or two different NES as well as Super Nintendo games. But no, it was just only Game Boy. So I'm like, okay, Nintendo. I feel like there's still a lot of good Super Nintendo games out there that could still get added to the service though, but I don't know. It's just weird. I really wish we have like a roadmap with this thing. And speaking of NSO kind of things, I don't know. I don't understand it's been, I think, since April, we had a Nintendo 64 at game added up to the service though. Like what is that? April, I mean May, June, basically went through all of July. So we're almost gonna be like 4 months. And I think there's only a handful of games left that needed to be added to the NSO service, like for the N64 side of things, that they actually promised to us and showed out in that little bit of a graphic. Because I think it's like 1080 snowboarding. I think it's Excite Bike, and then my two most important ones, Pokemon Stadium 2 as well as Mario Party 3. I think some things are going to be going down within Mario Party 3 because that was my game personally growing up. That's the one I really want. But I also want Pokemon Stadium 2 because I had the first game, but I didn't have the second one. So I really like to dabble with that though. But a little bit unfortunate. We hadn't had an N64 update. We've been consistent with the one, at least one GBA game a month. Game Boy has been solid. Just bring it up NES, Super Nintendo just a little bit. This is just weird when they always kind of drop their games. I was like once every few months, kind of the same like the N64 games, but I feel like maybe that's been a little more consistent than the N64 games themselves, though. But speaking of Legend of Zelda Oracle Ages and Seasons, there are some cult classics. I feel like maybe I should dabble within one of these two games or whatnot, though, because I know there's actually an actual extra little story thing that you can do if you actually manage to go through and beat both of the games. So it's actually really cool how they managed to actually involve that within like their. It's like a not necessarily a cheat code, but it's like a code you punch in and you can kind of get like that third route or whatever, though. So yeah, the interconnectivity between these two games it still exists even on the NSO service though. But yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of my little spill on these games as well as just the NSO in general. All right, so lastly, we got to talk about Pikmin 4. Yes, I managed to go through and play through a good chunk of Pikmin 4. And, with my experience within the Pikmin series, I played a little bit of one, never finished one. I never touched Pikmin 2. And from everything I heard from some of my friends, Pikmin 2 sounds abysmal. Like, the difficulty in that game is, like, extremely hard. I played through all of Pikmin 3, beat it, and I'm very deep in my journey within Pikmin 4 just played a little bit of it right before I went live with this podcast right now though. And going through this game, I've been enjoying it, pleasantly surprised by all of this stuff. I love the presentation and stuff. I don't know, at least with the game itself, I'm not as blown away with it like what I was with Pikmin 3 because I guess with Pikmin 3 that was the introduction of Nintendo's entry within like HD consoles. So, the environments and stuff really popped out whenever I saw that back in the day on the Wii U though. But not to discredit this game right now though, Pikmin 4's art style and the way how the graphics look, it still looks amazing. It still looks stunning and it looks really good though. In terms of what I've been doing in terms of the game, I've been going through and been trying to 100% this game because I feel like it just naturally makes sense for me to go through and 100% this game, just here and there and whatnot though. Because when you're going through this game, you're collecting treasures and stuff like that. Like even within the demo area itself, and no spoilers within this review impression though. Like even in the demo area itself, which it's about a good chunky 3 hours or so. You managed to get cool little collectibles like the Game Boy Advance SP and stuff like that. So I don't know. It just feels nice, good, and rewarding just getting those little treasures and being able to flip through your Piccolopedia and all your different treasure guides and stuff like that. I don't know. I just naturally like doing that because Pikmin is like a nice, relaxing game until you actually lose like a whole bunch of Pikmin and they don't pay attention to you and you're trying to call them back to your base before the enemies eat them. Because I really haven't rewinded any of my days. It's nice that they have like a rewind feature just for those that might have a little bit of trouble with it though. But I haven't been one of the people that actually use it though. But honestly, it's a really great, solid game. Can't recommend it enough. One of the coolest things I actually like about this game is the whole night missions because I was always curious with Pikmin in general of what actually goes down at night because we always go back on the spaceship to go back up in the sky at the very end of the day. Like we never got to actually see what was actually going down at night though. Those night missions is actually really cool. It's like a more like a tower defense versus kind of like what you normally do during the day with collecting and stuff like that. It's a nice different change of pace right now. So honestly, some really good stuff. Where I'm currently at right now, I'm literally in the very last area. I won't say, how many areas are up in the game for those actually curious about it though. But for those that happen to be there or got that far, yes, I'm at the doorstep at the very last area, and I'm just trying to catch up on some of my night missions. I got to do one extra side thing that happened to pop up as well though. After I managed to rescue some other people, so beating around the bush, but y'all kind of know what I'm talking about right there though. For those that know. But honestly, a really nice, enjoyable experience. I know pick oh, and actually I can talk about the sales of this game though too, because there was apparently in terms of Japan, this is the highest selling game for its opening weekend. I think it sold like a little bit more than like 400,000 plus copies over there in Japan. So I was like, "Oh shoot!" And you know what? If you go back and look at Pikmin's history with the original releases, not like the ports and the ports that got moved over to newer systems. Original Pikmin 1 and 2 releases on the GameCube, and then when 3 is released on the Wii U. None of those systems were actually successful systems that actually managed to take off. And 4 is the only one with a really good install base. With what are we at right now? We're close to like 100, somewhere between like I would say maybe in 130 billions right now, amount of people or whatnot though. But the fact that it has a really good install base, the fact that is actually doing that well in Japan. I know Miyamoto's over there smiling like, "Oh, finally, we got a game that can actually take off." I'm curious to know what the actual sales or how many copies have actually managed to sell globally, worldwide. But we probably won't know those until the next fiscal update within the next quarter. What was it? March, April, May, June, July, August. It'll probably be sometime close around the September-ish time where we're gonna kind of get those numbers revealed or whatnot, though. But if I had to take a guess, I think by the time we get that update, I want to say maybe Pikmin 4 sold in the range of between like 3 to 4 million. I think Pikmin 3 was technically the highest selling. It was either 3 or 3 Deluxe as the highest one though, but I feel like with Pikmin 4, knowing the whole Switch effect and pretty much almost every franchise that dropped out on the Nintendo Switch had managed to sell remarkably better than what it managed to do on some of the older Nintendo systems. I still think this is going to be the best selling Pikmin game ever, though. So yeah, so I think they made some really nice adjustments and stuff within the game, made it a little bit more user friendly for those that are trying to get into the Pikmin series. Do not let your kids play this game because the whole Dandori, which basically is a unique name Nintendo came up with for multitasking within Pikmin. You gotta be using your head if you're trying to maximize and trying to get a lot of stuff done within your day limits and stuff like that. So honestly, really good stuff. Can't recommend this game fully enough. And that's pretty much it in terms of like my review impressions for Pikmin 4 overall in general though. Great game, really solid, and I can't recommend the game highly enough though. But that's gonna basically do it in terms of all the gaming news topics that I have right now. So we'll go ahead and jump it over to the next thing. So we'll go ahead and move to the next segment, that being so about that show. All right. So in terms of things that I've been kind of going through and watching lately, I already mentioned kind of earlier at the beginning of this podcast that I did manage to watch the newest Transformers movie. It was really cool. It was interesting the way how they had the Robotnik animal like let's not say creatures. Shoot, they're not really creatures, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean with those type of beings and whatnot, though. But I thought it was really solid, really fun. Nothing really serious to be taken about it, though. But it was a nice, enjoyable experience and whatnot, though. And the only other movie I think I saw was it wasn't even the whole entire movie. It's about half of it. I still need to finish the other half of it. One being an anime movie, that being that time I got reincarnated into a slime. Because I actually managed to put that movie off for quite some time. I'm halfway up in it. I've been enjoying it, but I still need to watch like the last 40-ish or so minutes. I don't know why. I'm kind of bad at with anime movies in terms of actually trying to watch them on time. Unless for some reason it's Dragon Ball, which actually I have a little story on that one though. Dragon Ball or especially My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia, I was always watching those movies in the theater. I could not wait to actually see those though. But speaking of other anime movies, I still need to watch that Black Clover movie. I just need to start blocking these things out, in small little chunks of time though. But that Black Clover movie that dropped recently on Netflix, I need to sit down and watch that. And I still need to watch Dragon Ball Superhero because that actually managed to drop out on Netflix, so I can watch that at any given point though. It's just more so finding a block of time to actually sit down and try to enjoy those movies though. So yeah, so that's it on that. But we did manage to get into a brand new anime series or season. So, with a new brand new anime season, that means yes, new anime to actually go through, watch, and enjoy. I think I might have alluded to this a little bit within the last episode though. But if I were to pick out some star highlights of some anime I've been really liking and really enjoying, one of them is Masamune Kun's Revenge R, which is like the second season of that series. Because, oh shoot, I think the first season actually came out. Ooh, I want to say it was like 2017. I don't know, give or take a year or so though. But it was kind of early within like, I didn't really get into watching anime until like roughly about the time I kind of graduated high school, which was like around 2015, about when I almost went into college. That's kind of when I really got into anime outside of like Pokemon and Dragon Ball and whatnot, though. But it was one of the first few anime that I watched that was in the rom-com series though. But man, it's been a joy and a delight. I had to actually go through and rewatch season one to get ready for season two. And I've been thoroughly enjoying this series run though. Literally, the next episode, they usually come out on Mondays though. And luckily, Funimation I said Funimation. Dang, I missed calling Funimation. But Crunchyroll is actually doing the same day dub. So you're actually getting the sub and the English dub on the same day for that one series though. But I've been thoroughly enjoying it on Monday nights is usually when I sit down and actually watch that though. So a really great season with that one. I think that's one of my star highlights. A second star highlight is more the guilty pleasure, but like Rent a Girlfriend. If you know anime and stuff like that, you probably heard about that one. Some people like it, some people really don't, and some people kind of think that it's just an okay-ish kind of a series or whatnot. Though I know it's not the greatest thing out there, but it's like I'm already neck deep up in this thing. I gotta see how this mess ends though. But yeah, that was another rom com I've been going through it and actually enjoying myself. And let's see here. The third one, I'll say this is like my last big major highlights. These are the three I would probably recommend to anybody that wants to watch something good for the season. That being a Jobless Reincarnation. Yes, this is like the second season, which is weird because with this one second season, they're splitting it up. And I was thinking with a split core, I'm usually used to it airing in within one season. I'll be off for one season and come back in the next season. But apparently, this is a summertime series anime, so I was thinking maybe it would have came back in the winter, but it's not going to come out into the spring. So there's going to be two off seasons of anime in between the first part and what's going to be the second part. So I'm like, that's the thing I kind of hate and that I'm getting a little bit burned out on. But I don't know. But the series itself is really good, so don't sleep on that one though. But that is one I will highly recommend right there. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of like super big major highlights, the ones I would highly recommend. These next few that I want to go ahead and list out are kind of like some B tier ish things. So it depends on kind of what you like, what your genres of whether or not you actually will probably like these. So one being My Tiny Senpai, which is kind of like it's a blend between rom com and slice of life. More so, I'll say 75% slice of life, 25% rom com. You see the rom com stuff up in there though, but it's gonna be like a little bit more casual kind of thing. It's a wholesome anime at the end of the day. So if you like your wholesome kind of stuff, yeah, because it's like you know how it is with the name and how it kind of implies, but it's like a girl that's technically the one that's actually looking after one other coworker who's basically kind of newer than her, but she kind of oversees all the stuff after her and what after him and whatnot though. And they kind of build like a slow kind of bond between the two of them though. It's just crazy how short that girl is, though. Like almost like child height or whatnot, though. But it's just wholesome at the end of the day. Then this next one, oh shoot! All right, all right. Get Just brace yourself on this one. This one is called Tenpuru. Tenpuru. This one right here is really interesting because I was looking at this one. Obviously, it's like a group of girls. It's like five of them, four of them that look like they'll be in like late high school or like early college ish or whatnot though. That's like the age group of those girls. And then apparently there's one dude that's basically like 21. Like I know one of the main protagonists, the one with the purple hair, she is I think 17. And the main dude, who has like red hair, he's about 21. So about a 4 year, 8 year gap difference or whatnot between them, though. But apparently, in terms of breaking down this little story, because it is dumb, but apparently the dude's dad was like, you know what? He was talking to his son back in the day, and he was like, hey, you know what? Ain't it? It's always good to not be lonely, right? So it's like I'm gonna go out there and basically have all these different relationships and meet all of these different women. Because he was like, it's never good to be alone, right? And then the dude was like, oh, he's so cool. But then as he got older, he kind of figured out exactly what that meant and what he was actually doing. So he's like, I'm not going to be like anything like my dad. And then, but lo and behold, a dude and stuff is going to have some desires and whatnot, though, on the side, though, even though he tried to really suppress it and not try to be like his dad or whatnot, though. It got it's not so bad whenever he ran into that main character with the purple hair, where he's like, you know what, I'm gonna basically live like a monk. So he was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and try to be like a monk, try to suppress those worldly desires and whatnot, though, and kind of get away from that temptation or whatnot, though. And lo and behold, he goes over here to this one little temple-ish area and actually manages to see her along with all of these other girls and stuff like that. And one thing kind of leads to another and stuff like that. Shoot. I don't know if I want to say all this stuff here on the stream though, but if you watch this anime or if you look at this description or whatnot though, like shoot, this is one that will just actually manage to crack you up because one dude filled with a temple of like all these different women and stuff. One thing leads to another. Certain accidents happen. I ain't gonna go up in the details of it though, but if you know, you know. But holy shoot, that one's just been kind of funny, just kind of seeing that one play out though. But I recommend it, but only if you kind of like those kind of harem-ish kind of things and some low-key stuff. I'm not gonna say up here on the stream though, but if you watch anime, you know exactly what I'm talking about right there though. But oh man, it's some funny stuff. It's like it's probably gonna be like the sleeper hit for this season though. And maybe the last one I'll probably talk about here in this stream, and I may talk about some other stuff in some other future podcast series though. There's one that's called The Reign of the Seven Spell Blades. That one seems pretty cool. I kind of like the animation style on that one though. It's like probably the out of all these animes I've been watching this series, it's probably the one that takes it the most serious, along with like Jobless Reincarnation. But that's kind of like your fantasy-ish kind of like thing. They got like spell casts and stuff like that. Kind of interesting how within this one, it's not just all about the spells, but it's also about the hand-to-hand combat with swords. They kind of like got like a nice little fusion or whatnot. Though got like seven different protagonists up in here though. But I do like the main male protagonist that's like on the face, as well as the girl that has like her hair. But whenever she uses her powers, it manages to go like great white though. But I don't know. I kind of like the chemistry that those two kind of have going on right there. I'm not sure if there's gonna be like romantic related stuff within those two though. I can see it, but it's not like clearly evident or whatnot though. But honestly, that's pretty much it in terms of some of the anime I've been going through and watching though. But like anything, whenever I mention this stuff within this one segment of the podcast, if there's a show that you want me to actually watch or anything like that, or you recommend, if you leave something down in the comment section down below on the podcast side of things, as long as it's on something I can watch, like whether it be Disney Plus or Crunchyroll or something like that, maybe a little bit of Netflix, I'll watch it. I'll give you a short little review the next time I have my next podcast episode. That's always out there for anybody that wants to do that. But that's pretty much it in terms of some of the stuff I've been watching here lately. So now we'll go ahead and jump over to the very last segment for tonight, that being what you've been playing. All right. So lately, outside of Pikmin 4, which that was like one of the main things I've been going through and playing here lately, because I put a lot of time in Pikmin 4. And some other stuff I've been going through and playing. Recently I actually managed to drop a video of me reviewing like my Aces ROG Ally like a month and a half later. So, with that, I've been kind of getting a little bit more within the PC ecosystem. When I even picked up a external GPU that basically will beef up my Asus ROG Ally whenever I dock it up into like my TV or monitor or whatever I'm trying to plug it up into, and essentially I can play anything. It's like maybe a few steps below that. What was it, the 4080 or whatever that Nvidia sells as their graphics card or whatnot? It's basically up there. Like I basically won't have any issues playing anything off of my ROG Ally at that point, though. So I got it. So I'm pretty much fixed. Like I can play anything now, from be it anything on my Switch to my PS5 to my ROG Ally, which is basically my anything I want to play off of Xbox on PC or anything off of Steam, whatnot. I'm fully covered though. But some of the stuff that I managed to get off of Game Pass as well as Steam that I've been going through and playing and switching around. I've been playing a little bit of Yakuza Like a Dragon. I put a good chunk amount of time up in that. So it's like anytime I kind of want to get a break from Pikmin 4, switch some stuff up, I've been playing a little bit of that. I also been playing a little bit of Hi-Fi Rush here and there though. It's an okay game. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be like the game for me though, but it's been a nice game to be able to experiment around with that system, kind of see what it's like. Those are the couple of Game Pass games I've been playing though. But the one thing I recently bought off of Steam, because a lot of people, yes, Steven, who usually will, be on the podcast with me, which he has some other obligations at least for tonight to do though. But he's been highly recommending, saying, Sonic Generations is a great game. So I was like, you know what? Might as well get it. I got it off of Games Plan, which is always weird how you can kind of go through and buy different games, not necessarily directly off of Steam, but from like these other places like Games Planet that always have these sales that give you a Steam code and you can just plug that back into Steam or whatnot though. So I picked up the game for about $5 or something like that. Those are my cheap games I love buying. But managed to get Sonic Generations. Played a few levels and stuff like that. It looks really good. Looks really great. I had a few different audio issues, but it's probably because of how old that game naturally is. Like it's like an old PC port, like because the game originally launched on what was it, Xbox 360, PS3 era, but it seems pretty nice. I've been kind of liking it, but I'll just kind of dabble with that game, here and there, just do a couple levels here and there. It's kind of interesting, at least with the 2D levels of Sonic Generations. It's not as bad in terms of control wise as what I was thinking it probably would have been comparative. Like, I don't know how they messed it up with like Sonic Forces and whatnot with those 2D levels. Like, I don't know how they messed it up there. And they actually managed to do it right within Sonic Generations. It's kind of it's kind of interesting, kind of thinking about it like that though. But yeah, so that's been some of the games I think I've been playing there on the side, and outside of that, I think that's been pretty much it. But I did also manage to play was it Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, which actually went into beta this weekend. Had like three different play sessions for it though. I managed to sneak into one that was like essentially Friday night and the Saturday morning. And honestly, that game was really solid. I kind of like the way how that game controls and stuff. It's made by the same people I think that also managed to make Persona 4 Golden, which that's what some people will kind of argue or be a little upset about, is with that one studio that makes games. It kind of feels like the same ish kind of game, just different characters with a different series or whatnot though. But at least for me personally, since I don't play like a ton of fighting games or whatnot though, I thought it was cool and whatnot though. Honestly, it got me kind of interesting because I really do want to play the Grand Blue series now that I have like a PS5 where most of those games would normally kind of come out on. I really do want to get up in that series because there is like the newest Grand Blue game that's supposed to come out. That's um the RPG title. And it's supposed to be coming out. They say winter, so I don't know if that's gonna be winter of 2023, like December, or if it's gonna be like January, February next year or whatnot. So it should come out February at the latest, though. But that's a series I really want to get up into though. But Ryzen for a fighting game that I played, I thought I wasn't going to be that interested in it, and managed to do a few rounds, and I actually kind of like it. I don't know. It's some of those games where it's kind of a little bit more simplified with the button layouts and whatnot, though. The ones I can kind of get behind, kind of like Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Like those are kind of fighting games I can just have some good fun with, like Persona 4 Arena Ultimate. So oh, I have to keep my eye out on that. If I were to pick up the game, I probably would get it on my PS5 because I just want to make sure that the game runs solidly. And what I could get it on my Asus ROG Ally, but I wouldn't really play a fighting game like that on the go, like kind of like how I wouldn't play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate via handheld, unless I played it handheld and put it on tabletop mode, and then pulled out my Pro controller. That's a little bit different, but doing that with the Aces ROG Ally ain't as simple or as easy, and I want to have make sure that my frame rate and stuff is all locked. So I probably will get it on the PS5. So I keep my eye out on it and see whether or not I actually will pick up Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising though. But overall, I was genuinely kind of impressed with the beta. It was really clean, really good. Got my butt handed to me quite a few times though, but outside of that, I did manage to, kick a few butts here and there though. Like I wasn't gonna let everybody show me up, but honestly, really good stuff right there. And I think outside of that, that's basically all I had to go through and discuss within tonight's podcast. So honestly, a lot of good stuff that managed to happen within this week. Comicon being some of the best stuff that managed to get some things revealed. And whole shoot, yes, the whole Spider-Man 2 thing I think was my major highlight. Um, it probably happened within the past few weeks, though. Still feeling pretty salty about the fact that I wasn't able to get them plates. I'll keep y'all updated on this within my podcast series, or whether or not I managed to actually get my hands up on them, though, because literally, it probably be episode. What we're on episode 60 right now. It would be like episode 63, as long as I stay on pace and I don't delay an episode or something like that. We're gonna figure out if I manage to actually get those if I manage to get those plates ordered, pre-ordered, whatever it is, basically in my hand though, because I technically kind of want to do like an unboxing video for those, maybe, since I actually got like a good layout for actually recording those kind of videos, like what I did with my Asus ROG Ally. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see on how that all kind of plays out though. But think that's pretty much it for this podcast episode for tonight, though. So, for all of those that managed to stop by here live, greatly appreciated, though. And so, for those that managed to actually go through and watch this podcast episode, whether it be on YouTube or any of my podcast servers after the fact, I always appreciate all the support y'all give me, though. But that's going to basically do it in terms of my episode 60, though. So, if you really like this video and you're watching this on the YouTube side of things, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell. That way, you never miss anytime I manage to go live here talking about anything in my ZardCast podcast series, anything between the game and the pop culture segment stuff and everything else in between though. But if you happen to be one of my listeners, happen to be listening to the audio only side of things on one of my podcast servers, yes, you can listen to me on Google, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, yes, even iHeartRadio. You can listen to me in the car. All those different places, you can actually go ahead and listen to me with my podcast series. I know I've been late on some of my little uploads. Like sometimes I want to upload the previous episode, like episode 59, until like actually the day of when I'm actually doing my episode 60 though. I'll try to be a little bit better upon that though. But yeah, there is the option for to listen to the audio only side of things though. But that's gonna basically do it in terms of this podcast episode tonight though. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, until my next ZardCast episode 61, I'll see y'all later. Dang, I did it again. Holy shoot. I don't know why I keep doing that mess. All right, see y'all.